Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to give basket weaving another try. Now, last time I got this rattan and I also got like a wooden base that came with it, and I didn't really like how it turned out. So today I thought I'd try out basket weaving without having the stiff base. So what I did was I just looked up images online of baskets and like the bottoms of them and how the like start of the weave is, and I found this really nice cross pattern that seemed fairly easy, and it actually was. So all you basically do is you cross over your 6 pieces for one part of the cross and then 6 pieces for the other part of the cross of your material that you want to weave, and then you wrap like one piece around multiple times, alternating like I showed before in a circle, just to fasten it, and it works pretty well. And all you do then is just you take your 3 pieces of weaving, at least I'm using the 3-strand weaving technique where you use them back and forth because I think the weave looks really nice, and then you just form your basket with your hands and just like with the weaving. And yeah, I will hope this will turn out really nice this time. I have a good feeling, and I definitely feel like I have more control over this type of weaving than I had with the base. So let's see how this will turn out. And of course this basket weaving took me like 4 hours. But you know, it was fun and relaxing. I put on an audiobook on the side and just kept weaving and weaving. The basket look I was going for was basically a like slightly rounded one, and I was like, well, do you separate the pieces on the base or do you keep them in like pairs of 2? And after trying to separate them to like make the weave more dense, I found, yeah, no, you definitely leave them in like pairs of 2 when you're weaving without a base. And yeah, it definitely made the basket look way cleaner and actually made it really easy to weave around them, and it definitely felt more sturdy with like having for the side base having 2 sticks in pairs each when you weave around them. I don't know if I explained this well, but as you can see there's always pairs of 2 when for the like base strands that I'm weaving around. But yeah, else this basket is pretty much similar to any other basket weave. Like when I have to replace pieces, I just stick them in where I ended off with the other piece and continue weaving. And yeah, basically I don't want the hugest of baskets. I just want to try and make one that has a semi-flat base and then it's like rounded off on the sides. once I was finished with the basket, I trimmed all the leftover pieces to the base length of the like shortest piece. And I knew they were too short, so basically normally you weave them back and forth on the edge to make it look really nicely. But for this one, they were too short, so I could just weave them one way and hope that they will hold up. Basically, also the gaps between the pieces that you normally weave to form the edge is a little bit smaller, but because I made this rounded off basket and I didn't put in any more strands on the sides to make the gap smaller, yeah, they're pretty large, so the pieces that you have to have left over to finish off the edge have to obviously also be larger, and these weren't really, but I think it still turned out super nicely with just weaving them to one side. So back and not forth. And of course in the end I use my flush cutters to carefully trim off all the bits and pieces. And yeah, here's the first basket basically done. And I think it looks really good, and I'm super happy with this one. The weave looks really even and it feels really even, and I didn't have any issues making this, and I didn't feel like it was a huge trouble making this basket. It was definitely a lot more fun than working with the base. So yeah, definitely I think I'm going to keep weaving baskets without a base. I can also say that I actually tried to weave another basket with base beforehand. So basically what I did is I printed out a 3D basket base that was very similar, just a little bit smaller than the one I used in my first video, and yeah, I basically have thrown this into the garbage because it didn't work out. I went like 1 hour and I didn't get much progress, and yeah, it just wasn't for me. It was way too stiff and I hated to work with it. So yeah, I salvaged the pieces I could, and then the rest I just throw in the trash. But anyways, now that I know that a loose base or a hand woven base works better for me, I decided to try another type of basket. You know, I've always seen these baskets that basically have a woven bottom, and then the sides of the basket have like these like huge gaps in them with like really nice patterns. So I wanted to try that out. I don't have much of my weaving material left, surprisingly, because you know, making an entire basket out of this definitely takes more, although last time I definitely still had a giant pile left. So I couldn't make the base sticks long enough to make like a larger basket with like larger side decor, so I decided, you know, I'm gonna make a small one. So yeah, the base is basically totally the same, and this time it actually looks a little bit cleaner than last time, definitely. I think it's just the practice I got in again with the first basket. And yeah, basically all I had to do for this one was to figure out how I would finish off the edges to make them look like loose and have this nice wavy pattern. And yeah, what I found easiest is basically that I would weave a little more of the base than I would have normally preferred. And then I decided to flatten it out first. And what I actually did for flattening it out is I made it really, really wet. So I soaked it in water for longer than you normally do. And then I pressed it down. And I used my heat gun to dry it on a low setting. Of course you can use a hairdryer, I just didn't have that on hand. I had my heat gun directly in my craft room. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. The base definitely got flatter, so I think you can definitely fix baskets with that. And I also bent like side pieces that will make the arches, and also use the same technique for them. And yeah, the easiest way really to like bend them over, I found, is I first tried to weave them in, but it left like huge gaps. So I just wove the bottom like 2 more rows, and then I basically stuck the ends in between these rows. So I kind of used like a picking tool that's normally used for peeling off stickers when you plot things. So like letter plotting and that, you normally pick out the negative spaces between stickers that you make. And I forced like the gaps between the pieces, the woven pieces open, and then I stuck in the ends of the wood. And yeah, it turned out pretty nicely. Now, as I said, my first like round off was pretty messy, but you know, after getting them situated, actually it worked out pretty well. So the thing I'm actually showing you right now, I'm not showing in detail because this was the first try where I tried to weave them in, and you can see at least huge gaps and it just doesn't look pretty. But I thought I'd include it to show what not to do. So basically what I did was fold them over and then try to weave around with the like same material that I used on the bottom, but yeah, definitely didn't work. So for the next try I actually finished weaving the bottom and then cleaned it up because I was getting poked all the time. And then here you can see how I basically put them in between like two of the gaps. I chose to get them into 2 rows. I'm sure you can also, if you don't feel that it's secure enough, get them into 3 rows of your former weaving. I'm sure there's also other techniques, but this one looked really pretty and worked pretty well. The only thing I found is that you really have to make sure that the weave is stiff and then like have them stuck in there really well, and once everything dries, so once all of the rattan dries completely, it becomes stiff enough to hold its shape itself. So I had to adjust it several times before it was completely dry, but it was only minor adjustments and it went pretty well. And in the end, when it was dry, I actually could clip it off and yeah, it held. And I think this shape is really pretty. And yeah, here you can actually see both baskets that I made. As I said, the first one only has 1 row of finishing. You can kind of see that the edge isn't the cleanest, but I still think it's really pretty, and I'm absolutely in love with this second one. I love the artist, and yeah, I'm actually using it as like a key drop of bowl, so when I get into the house I just drop my keys in there. So yeah, this worked out really well, and I'm super happy with the turnout this time. Last time when I made a basket I was kind of happy with it, but not too much because it was just uneven. And so this time I just figured out it was because of the base. I just like making them myself. It's like way easier to work with. And it's not as stiff to handle as the pre-made bases. So if you've ever tried basket weaving and you found that the one with using a pre-made base isn't for you, maybe this is. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my second adventure into basket weaving, and maybe you can learn something out of it and want to try this craft yourself. I hope you have a great day. Bye!